Hey guys, welcome to week 2 of our Friday wraps on year-end tax strategies. Last week we talked about the ability for your business to purchase an asset up to $150,000 and instantly write it off. This week we're going to talk about super. I love super. There's so many strategies around super whilst you're working and accumulating super, nearing retirement strategies that allow you to claim a tax deduction and reduce the tax that you pay personally during your working life. Strategies that allow you to get extra money into super so you can utilize the benefits of the environment as you're getting nearer to retirement. Today I'm going to go through 3 of them. There's a lot of strategies in and around these. There's a lot of extra strategies, but I just want to give you an idea of some things that can possibly help you. We've got, 25 days left of the financial year. So enough time to do something, but, give you an idea of how things can work. So hopefully after you've watched this 6, 7, 8 minute video, you too will think that super really is super. More than ever today, the general advice warning is appropriate. I'm going to talk technical, strategic information today. It can make, a great tax saving for you. I don't want you to go away and implement something without having chatted to myself or someone who's an expert in this area first. That is very important for this week's one. So, first things first, maximizing your personal deductible contribution. So, if you are under age 75, you can make personal contributions to super up to $25,000. So we have this 2 limits in super. One is your concessional contribution. So they're contributions where you make a tax deduction. The limit, as we see there, is $25,000. And then I'll talk in another couple of slides about non-concessional contributions, the limit being $100,000, but I'll show you a strategy to increase that. But first things first, this year, you can have up to $25,000 of contributions paid into your super fund where you get a tax deduction. Now, that can be for people up to age 75. Keep in mind, up to age 65, no problems, no restrictions. After age 65, up to 75, you need to meet the work test to make these sort of contributions. And the work test is you need to work 40 hours in a 30-day period during that year. So let me give you an example. Tom, he earns $95,000. His employer contributes 9.5%, $9,025 to his super. Because he hasn't yet reached the $25,000, if he wanted to, he could personally contribute money into the superannuation environment and claim a tax deduction for that contribution up to that amount. The difference between 9 and 25, $15,975. So if he had the money available, he could make that contribution to super. Then his taxable income is reduced by that much, so it's going to go down to just over, $79,000 or so, and tax on 95 versus the tax on the 79 is different by $5,887. So he's going to contribute $15,000 into super. He's going to claim a tax deduction, gets his tax done, and he's going to get nearly $6,000 back. Hope that makes sense. If it's something that you think is interested to you, give us a call. Let's do the numbers. All right. What about this? This is only new this year. So just then, I said that you can only contribute up to $25,000 a year. Now I'm going to contradict myself. We've got a new rule, and it's a great rule. This is the first year where you can increase your contributions beyond the $25,000. So any unused cap from last year can be brought forward to this year. There are some rules. So you're entitled, if you have unused caps from last year, you make concessional contributions this year exceeding $25,000, and you have a total super balance at the end of last financial year less than $500,000. So let's use an example, and let's go from the prior example. Tom, he didn't make any extra contributions last year. So all he had was his employer putting in $9,025. He's thinking of putting $15,975 in this year, as we've used in that example. But if he wants to, he can put in last year's $15,975 and this year's $15,975. The result is that Tom, instead of $95,000 income, it's going to reduce by $31,950 for this year. He's going to get a refund of $12,165. Now, keep in mind, if Tom this year said, hey, I'll put in this $15,975, he could put it in at the end of June. He could get his tax done at the beginning of July. If he went and did the extra contribution both years, that extra $15,975, he's going to get back $12,165 extra in tax. So it nearly pays 1 year for itself. Something to consider. What about, I talked about other ways to get money into super. So there are two strategies where you can claim a tax deduction for your contribution. You can go up to $25,000. You know, your employer puts in however much, you want to put in the difference. Now, let me go back to that. There's two things that you can do. One, you can have your employer's salary sacrifice. So Tom, he could go, you know what, I like the idea of putting the money in. I don't want to save it up at the end of the year and put in the $15,000. I would rather just tell my boss, mate, instead of putting in the $9,000 a year, can you reduce the amount you pay me, put that extra $15,000 into super, and I'll put in the $25,000. We know from this slide that he's going to get $5,800 back. So he puts $15,900 in, he gets $5,800 back. It's going to come at a cost of about $10,000 a year. About $200 a week is what it's going to cost him to make that extra contribution. So that's instead of him putting the money in at the end of the year. Now, let's have a look at this bring forward rule. Let's have a look at contributions that you make where you don't claim a tax deduction. If you're under age 65, you can bring forward up to 2 years of the non-concessional cap. Now, we can claim $25,000 as a contribution and get a tax deduction in any year. We can put $100,000 into super in any year and not claim a tax deduction for it. But we can also bring forward 3 years. So we can put in $300,000 in any year. Again, let's have a look at an example. Tom, he sold his house. Let's say he's nearing retirement. The kids have moved out. He sells his house, sold it for $1 million, buys a house for $600,000. He's got $400,000 left. Now, he understands the benefit of the super environment, tax-free on earnings when he's retired, tax-free on drawings when he's retired. Who wouldn't want to live in a tax-free environment? So he wants to get the money into super. He can do two things. One, he can make a non-concessional contribution today of $300,000. He can put that $300,000 into super. Happy days. He's brought forward the next 2 years. So 1920 he's used, 2021 he's used, 21-22 he's used. He cannot make any more non-concessional contributions till 22-23, as we've said there. But what about this? What about if Tom makes a non-concessional contribution of $100,000 this month? He puts $100,000 in June. He hasn't breached any caps, so come next year, he has a full entitlement to the bring forward rule. That means on July 1, he can put in $300,000, and he has then got the whole $400,000 in this little period of time and not had to wait until, 3 more years down the track to put any extra money into super. So, guys, very technical, lots of numbers. I hope you're able to keep up. I hope you understand that super really is super. It's an environment to take advantage of all the way through your working life. It's tax concessional, 15% on earnings as opposed to your marginal rate of tax. But as you near retirement, to load up on getting money into super is a great idea if you can, because like I said, tax-free on earnings, tax-free on any pension that you draw, when your fund's in pension mode. Very technical, very much personal, very much, needs to be considered in your situation. Hopefully you sort of get a sense of what's possible. Love to hear from you if you do want to look at your numbers and think, hey, is there anything I can do this side of June 30? Because once July, ticks over, we're into a whole new year. You lose the benefit of this year. Gonna leave it there. Happy Friday. Talk soon. Thanks a lot.